There is so much nonsense, authoritarian acts, tyranny, actions being taken by our governments to destroy our livelihoods and our businesses and our families. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what we can do legally, peacefully to protest these actions that are being taken by our governments and non-elected actors.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
The world has failed, I tell you. The world has failed yet again.
This is an extract of a much longer video. If you want to see the whole thing, go to bit.ly/cryptorich3speak, bit.ly/cryptorich or bit.ly/cryptorichrumble.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the fascinating parts for me, one of the many rabbit holes that I went down and came across a piece of legislature that said that it's actually illegal to fund your government if your money is going to be going towards forms of terrorism and war. And that struck a chord with me. And what's gone on in the world since has just made me think I don't want to give taxes to this government. They are using those taxes to go and murder people in other parts of the world, and I am very, very much against that. And
the 6 crimes are war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and conduct ancillary to war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And when I started to look into what we meant by conduct ancillary, I realized that it was any action that an individual takes that is supportive of these criminal offenses. That included paying tax. So I realized in 2002, it was a criminal offense to pay tax, knowing that some of the money would be used for a criminal purpose of genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes. It was an international convention, and it doesn't take effect in this country until we ratify it by passing our own legislation. And that happened in 2001 with the International Criminal Court Act 2001 and the International Criminal Court Scotland Act 2001. And those are the most serious criminal offences committed in this country, passed by Parliament, and the Queen signed it, and it became law in 2001. And when you look through the detail of what is meant, then it's quite clear that it includes anything that aids and abets the crime. And it links to the Accessories and Abettors Act of 1861, which makes it a criminal offence for anyone to do anything which supports these crimes.
Are there any exclusionary clauses, like government taxes are exempt, the UK government and its agencies and agents are exempt?
That's what I would have thought there should be, but there aren't. And of course, in fact, there is an inclusion clause, Article 78 of the International Criminal Court Act, actually says this applies to the Crown and all property of the Crown and all persons involved in the Crown. So basically, it's the King, the Queen at the time, and the Prime Minister, and everybody else is governed by this law.
Oh my God, what a fabulous act.
Well, this was what was passed, and nobody was paying any attention to it, including the Attorney General and the Prime Minister. And of course, they were saying, you know, this we're about to go to war with Iraq and it will be legal. And I think the Attorney General said at the time it's authorized by Security Council resolutions 678, 687 and 1441. And when I looked at what it said about in the UN Charter about the Security Council resolutions, it says, Article 41, the Security Council may decide what measures not involving the use of armed force are to be employed to give effect to its decisions. The British government leaves out the word not.
Yeah.
I find that utterly appalling.
Chris, I'm just shocked that the British government would lie us into a war, especially Tony Blair, such an honourable man.
So I started to look at, well, how do these guys, the top 50,000 people in this country, manage to put all their taxes overseas in tax havens in large amounts of money and keep it away from the tax man? And I thought, well, we can use exactly the same system for us so that we put all our taxes in trusts. Now, when you put money in trust, it doesn't belong to you anymore. And it belongs to your trustees for your beneficiaries. So what I decided to do was to put my taxes in trust for the beneficiary, being the government or the council or the DVLA, any one of the tax-raising bodies in this country, until the last day of the financial year, in a revocable conditional trust.
Successfully with your council tax. You've also done it successfully with a parking ticket.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, very briefly, I got a parking ticket for £70 in Borough Council. It was about 10, 12 years ago. And they asked me for the money, and I wrote to them and I said, no, I can't pay it because it's a criminal offence under Section 52 of the International Criminal Court Act for you to ask me to pay it and for me to pay it. And that could incur a penalty of up to 30 years in prison for conduct ancillary to genocide. And so I'm not going to pay it. And I got a letter back saying, on this occasion, we will forgive you the payment.
Interesting.
Matt,
So this is quite important. The important bit is that all of this is underpinned by the most important criminal laws we've ever agreed with the rest of the world. And it's both international and domestic criminal law.
Anything else?
Well, no, I guess the most important thing is, if you're going to go down this route, it seems to me you need a thick skin, bravery, and not to be intimidated. All qualities which I think I've got in abundance. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good, excellent.
That is
and I would recommend actually doing it with a group of others as well, so that you can work it through with mates and friends and colleagues and so on, and say, look, we can do this, and we can get our employers to do it and our council to do it on our behalf, as well as doing it ourselves as individuals.
Yes, that is fabulous. Yeah, we're going to do that. And one of the things that I think has happened with the support that the UK government is giving to the genocide in Gaza is it has galvanized many, many Muslims. It's galvanized many, many Jewish people, and plus many other people, right? You can see the injustice, how our government is supporting this willful genocide of people who have been living in nothing more than an open-air prison. That this is something. So if anybody's got any connections to anybody in the anti-war movement, Muslims or Jews or whoever, then this is something that you want to let people in your group know, that this is a way that we can let the government know, no, not in our name, not in our name. And then the other thing I'd say about this, right, is we don't have anything to lose. We do not have anything to lose.
No.
Because the alternative...
No, that's a very important point to make, Rich. But what people don't realize is that at any stage, if you've got the money in trust there for the government and they really force you into court and everything else, as they used to do to me, you can, if you want to, say, okay, I give up, here's the money, hand it over. I know it's a criminal offence, but you're forcing me to pay it.
Yes.
So you never need to go to prison or anything like that. Don't need to worry about that at all.
But that process, if enough people do it, that process bungs up the system and it becomes more and more expensive and cumbersome, and they require more and more enforcers. So they take on more employees, but those employees are themselves opposed to the Great Reset. Because Matt, you and I could end up working for HMRC, right? It's like, wait a minute, what are we doing here, right?
Bring the system down from within.
That's right. Or our friends and family. This is what broke the Soviet Union. It became too cumbersome to enforce and administer, and it wasn't generating enough revenue. So absolutely, absolutely. We people got to find their own way of protesting and resisting, legal, peaceful, lawful means of making our voice heard. And this is one way of doing that. There are many, many people who've been inspired by the stand that you've taken. And what I want more people to know that we don't have to pay for the killing of children and innocents with our money. we can say no.